from the party perspective, and some people don't. I party with purpose. So whenever I have a get together, we're gonna have a good time, but it's always gonna be a purpose behind it. And the purpose behind today is to celebrate my Panama residence. Give me a clap right there. And I think it's significant to celebrate the residents because I am an African American and I come from a place where, you know, my ancestors were not even allowed to travel. Okay, my ancestors and the people that came from just a generation or so, you know, before me, weren't even allowed to cross the street in safety, let alone cross the tracks. And when you think about the fact that we as African Americans are starting to make our homes in other countries and also opening businesses and doing great things and making connections with other people, it is something that is, I believe, my ancestors' wildest dream. And that's real. I say that from a real perspective. The other thing is that I believe when God gives you a mic, you need to say something. And I'm serious. I mean, say something that matters. And when people have a mic, I don't think they understand how important it is. I mean, everybody is listening to me right now, right? So it's an opportunity for me to say something that's important. And so what I wanted to do was just real quick, give a shout out to Black History Month in the United States. Today is the last day for it. I want to acknowledge my mother. My mother who passed in 1987, Charlotte Evelyn Bailey Higginbotham. And my mother never traveled beyond Georgia with regard to, you know, her expansion. My mother never flew on a plane. And I don't know if she would have at this point or not, but you know, by the time I came along, she did have the opportunity, but she never did. So I stand here today, you know, for my mom, representing my mom, giving respect, looking back, saying Kofa life, you know, to her, and just thanking God that I have the ability to actually be in another country, you know, with a resident ID in my hand and able to do things that she probably never even dreamed about, right? So, with that, I want to talk to you about what was established by African Americans that would help you stay out of trouble if you was brave enough to travel, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in just a short summary right here. Quote, there will be a day sometime in the near future when this guide will not have to be published. That is when we as a race will have equal opportunities and privileges in the United States. It will be a great day for us to suspend this publication, for then we can go wherever we please and without embarrassment. That was how the authors of the Negro Motorist Green Book ended the introduction to their 1948 edition. In the pages that followed, they provided a rundown of hotels, guest houses, service stations, drugstores, taverns, barbershops, and restaurants that were known to be safe ports of call for African American travelers. The Green Book listed establishments in segregationist strongholds such as Alabama and Mississippi, but its reach also extended from Connecticut to California. Any place where its readers might face prejudice or danger because of their skin color. With Jim Crow still looming over much of the country, a motto on the guide's cover also doubled as a warning. Carry your Green Book with you. You may need it. Like most African Americans in the mid-20th century, Green had grown weary of the discrimination blacks faced whenever they ventured outside their neighborhoods. Rates of car ownership had exploded in the years before and after World War II. But the lure of the interstate was also fraught with risk for African Americans, whites only. Policies meant that black travelers often couldn't find safe places to eat and sleep, and so-called the sundown towns. Municipalities that banned blacks after dark were scattered across the country. As the foreword on the 1956 edition of the Green Book noted, the white traveler has had no difficulty in getting accommodations, but with the Negro it has been different. Inspired by earlier books published for Jewish audiences, Green developed a guide to help black Americans indulge in travel without fear. The first edition of his Green Book only covered hotels and restaurants in the New York area, but he soon expanded its scope by gathering field reports from fellow postal carriers and offering cash payments to readers who sent in useful information. By the early 1940s, the Green Book boasted thousands of establishments from across the country, all of them either black-owned or verified to be non-discriminatory. The 1949 guide encouraged hungry motorists passing through Denver to stop for a bite at the Dewdrop Inn. Those looking for a bar in the Atlanta area were told to try the Yeah Man, Sportsman Smoke Shop, or Butler's. In Richmond, Virginia, Rest a Bit was the go-to spot for a ladies' beauty parlor. The Green Book's listings were organized by state and city, with the vast majority located in major metropolitans such as Chicago and Detroit. More remote places had fewer options. Alaska after World War II. But the lure of the interstate was also fraught with risk for African Americans, whites only. Policies meant that black travelers often couldn't find safe places to eat and sleep, and so-called the sundown towns. Municipalities that banned blacks after dark were scattered across the country. As to a sponsorship deal with Standard Oil, the Green Book was available for purchase at Esso gas stations across the country. Though largely unknown to whites, it eventually sold upwards of 15,000 copies per year and was widely used by black business travelers and vacationers alike. In his memoir, A Colored Man's Journey Through 20th Century Segregated America, Earl Hutchinson Sr. described purchasing a copy in preparation for a road trip he and his wife took from Chicago to California. The Green Book was the Bible of every Negro highway traveler in the 1950s and early 60s, he wrote. You literally didn't dare leave home without it. Sound like American Express picked up with that, right? As its popularity grew, the Green Book expanded from a motorist companion to an international travel guide. Along with suggestions for the United States, later editions included information on airline and cruise ship journeys to places like Canada, Mexico, the Caribbean, Africa, and Europe. We know a number of our race who had a long-standing love affair with the tempestuous city of Paris. The 1962 Green Book noted, the guy who offered travel tips and featured articles on certain cities. The 1949 edition shined the spotlight on Robbins, Illinois, a town owned and operated by Negroes. In 1954, readers were encouraged to visit San Francisco, which was described as the fast becoming the focal point of the Negro's future. In offering advice to its readers, the Green Book adopted a pleasant and encouraging tone. It usually avoided discussing racism in explicit terms. One article simply noted that the Negro traveler's inconveniences are many, but as the years passed, it began to champion the achievements of the civil rights movement. In one of its last editions, in 1664, hope the March of Progress eventually helped push it toward obsolete. In 1964, the Civil Rights Act finally banned racial segregation in restaurants, theaters, hotels, parks, and other public places. Just 2 years later, the Green Book quietly ceased publication after nearly 30 years in print. And I just want to thank Hugo for the Green Book. Thank you. I also want to say that there are other people here who I am very proud to have them here because they too have stepped out on faith and come to another country. You know, a lot of us, we don't speak Spanish. And so that is a big step of faith. And I have Alfredo to help me. So it's made it a lot easier for me. But for any of my brothers and sisters here who are black expats to Panama that want to come up, I have something for you. So would you like to come and be recognized? Tony said, Norita. Come on, Tony, quit playing. Come on, Vanessa. Yes, I know. Now I'm picking on you. She don't want to. That means get your butt up here. I just want y'all to introduce yourself real quickly, if you would like. I don't want to pressure you.
I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yay!
My name is Maria. I'm Anthony's wife. We've been married for 25 years. We just moved to Panama 10 months ago. We've been going back and forth to Denver. That's where we've lived for the last 25 years. And we're in Panama now for good, and we love it here.
Hello, I'm Vanessa. I'm from New York, and I've been in Panama for 3 months. I've been telling Panamanians that I've been here for Tres Meses. A lot of them laughed at me. I didn't know why, but it was so yes, Tres Meses, right? And I live in Boquete, where it's cooler and greener, and yeah, and a little lighter, you know. But I love it here. I've only been here 3 months, and it kind of feels like home. So glad to be here.
I want to get a picture with y'all, but at first I want to give you a very own Panama flag pin, baby. And can somebody take a picture of us? That's nice, because I could never ever imagine moving to another country. But when I tell you that I love Panama, I mean it. I really do. And I just want to thank everybody for embracing me the way that you have, because it really means a lot. And I thank God for the support that they give as well. So at this point, continue to eat, and then we're going to have some karaoke and music and dancing and just celebrate this awesome occasion. Happy Black History Month, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.